Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Welcome to Livingston, where we invite local businesses, people, and organizations in to talk about what they are giving to our community. My name is Don Putkela.
And I'm Angela Putkela, and we're with the Putkela Group Real Estate Professionals. As realtors and brokerage owners, we bring valuable insight into the local market and community every week.
Thanks for listening, and welcome to Livingston. Hello and welcome everybody to another amazing episode of our podcast, Welcome to Livingston. My name is Don Putkela.
And I'm Angela Putkela, and we're with the Putkela Group Real Estate Professionals.
Yes, and we are super excited for our show today, but before we get started, we are going to have a quick word from our sponsor.
Today's episode of Welcome to Livingston has been brought to you by our valued sponsor, Jim Paquette at Lake Michigan Credit Union. Jim is a trusted mortgage lender who has lived and worked in our community for many years. Jim is dedicated to helping our neighbors achieve their homeownership dreams and is proud to support the local businesses that make our area special. Now, let's go ahead and dive in to some helpful and useful information for everyone in Livingston County and beyond.
Yes. So, no, I'm really excited about today's episode. You know, a lot of times we bring in local businesses and such and talk to them about what they have going on in the community. But sometimes we do take a step back and talk about real estate. And sometimes we just take a step back and talk about home ownership.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're doing today.
Life. Like sometimes we do that, but we do try to add value, talk about things that the listeners may find useful or helpful in some kind of way. And this is going to be one of those days.
Yeah. So today what we're going to be talking about, fall is coming. When this episode, I know, but it's an amazing time of year because football is starting.
Yeah.
Our daughter had her first cheer football game last week. College football starts in a couple days. When this episode's drops, we'll be in college football. Yeah. NFL will be starting in just a couple days.
Hopefully it's still warm, right?
Hopefully it's still warm, but it's that time of year where the weather's changing. We're going to start seeing leaves change. The kids are back to school. And that means taking care of your home and thinking about that fall cleanup and all those things that go with it.
Right. The fall brings a lot of things. And we've had a lot of first-time homeowners lately. And so as a homeowner, fall is a really important season. So we definitely wanted to speak to them on that. And there's been people that have moved to Michigan and moved back to Michigan. And so even in terms of taking it out from there, but I think we're going to have a chance to dig into some of these things.
Yeah, because if you're a first-time home buyer, you've never done this for yourself before.
Right.
And if you're in your first house or you're in a new house or you've come back to Michigan to a house with seasons now again, maybe you've come back from Florida or Arizona, right? It's a whole new world for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a change. The changing of the seasons equals, a changing of all the things that you need to do and make sure that you're doing your covering, because without that, later on really starts to hurt, right?
Yeah. So, where do you want to get started today?
Let's talk about first-time home buyers. Okay. What does any of our first-time home buyers that have never done this before, welcome to fall, where do they start?
Wow. It's a really good question. So I made myself a list of some of the things that you might encounter being a first-time home buyer. It's your house. It's the fall. Where do you get started? Some of them very easy, some of them a bit more complicated and such, So one of the things I look at is when you're doing all those things in the fall, some of those yearly activities, this is an easy time to get those things done, right? So start off with something real simple, such as your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, right? Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of times nowadays, you may not have to change those batteries. They have lithium batteries. They're 10-year batteries and such. But if you're just getting into a house, you're a first-time home buyer, you have to check those things to see what kind of detectors you have. And is there a 9-volt battery that needs to be changed? Right. Start yourself off fresh, put new batteries in them. If you get up there and, we have a home buyer that's buying a house and has old, yellowed, smoke detectors. They've been through a ton of seasons. You can tell they've been up there a long time. Might be a time to change those out.
Right.
Put new ones in that are also carbon monoxide detectors. And now they have these great ones that not only have lithium batteries that last for 10 years, but they all link up to each other. And you can add ones in rooms that might not be wired for it, that are still linked together to, give you warnings to, they'll hook, some of them now, they'll even hook up to your Wi-Fi. They're
Wow.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, the technology has come really far, and these things are very, very affordable. And when you think about the fact that you really won't know whether it works or not until you really need it, let's not take any chances.
Right, because they always start beeping at 2 a.m.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Yeah, always.
So take care of it early. It's an easy place to start.
Yes, absolutely. And then the nice part is whether somebody has a house or a condo or whatever, that's something that should be in it. And in terms of carbon monoxide, that becomes a safety feature that, is so critical to make sure that you have that in the house and that it's working.
Exactly. 100%. Maybe have some drills with your kids, let them know where to go. When we had young kids, they knew that if there was a fire, this is where we met outside of the house, right?
Right. Not a matter of I got to find mom, what's going on? Okay, if this is happening in the house, then you get out and we'll meet you here.
Exactly. Having a plan in place. And while we're talking about smoke detectors, if we move from the smoke detectors down to the furnace, that is a good thing to take care of this time of year as well. I would advise everyone to get on a tune-up contract with a local furnace HVAC company. They'll come in, they'll check it out, make sure it's working. You can get on it when it's twice a year. So they're checking the furnace during the winter. They're checking the air conditioner in the spring. They're making sure everything is working correctly. It's great to have a relationship with somebody, because then if that furnace does go out again in January, you have someone that you're already working with that isn't new to you, that's going to be able to come out and take care of that in an emergency setting, rather than you just trying to figure out where it is. Very quickly. But what you're doing in the fall here is check those filters and make sure you're changing them out.
We have had people from time to time not know that they needed to change a filter on that.
Yes.
And that again becomes a fire hazard. But it's such a huge important thing, and to make sure that it's the right filter.
Yeah, make sure it's the right filter. Make sure you're changing it. Again, I've gone to showings where we're doing inspections, where we're walking through the house, and homeowners looking at the furnace and looks at the filter and it's black as night. And you're like, wow, how long has it been since this was changed? But even a regular homeowner, I would suggest Amazon is great that you can get on a subscription. You can tell it to send you filters every 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. So when that filter shows up on the front porch, it's time to go down there and change it. Also keep in mind that those filters have a direction. There's an airflow going through your furnace. So having it in the right direction, knowing which way, there's an arrow on your filter that says this is the way the airflow should go. So when you're looking at your furnace, make sure you're going the same, the flow is the correct way to make sure your furnace works at an optimal level.
Right. Because we've seen people make that mistake.
Right.
So that's something that's easy enough, especially if you're changing it as you should be.
Right. Yep. Exactly. So,
right. And I feel like the other reason it's such a good time to change that filter right there in the fall, no matter, kind of where you're at with it, is because there's going to be less open air from the outside generally. Like you're going to be
100%.
Getting cooped up for the winter here, and you may as well have as clean of air as possible.
Exactly. And you're going to start pumping hot air through there because your furnace is working. Some people are like, well, my furnace isn't doing anything during the summer. Well, yeah, it still is, because your air conditioner is, you're still running air through there. That filter is running. So a couple other things down there. If you have a humidifier on your furnace, you're going to switch that over from summer to winter. There's a little dial on the side there that switches that over. That has a filter as well. So make sure you're changing that out. You can get calcium buildup in your humidifier that really stops that from working. Every house is different on how often you have to change these filters. So make sure if you're a first-time home buyer, since we're talking about first-time home buyers, mark down when you change that filter. Go check it in 8 weeks, 12 weeks. See how they're looking, because that first year in the home, you're going to learn how often those things need to be changed. Same thing with your water softener. A lot of water softeners have a filter on it that needs to be changed, right? Not only are you adding salt to the system, if you've never had a water softener before, you need to add salt to the system. So, you need to go out, you need to buy the salt, put it in there. We get Durarock salt, which is the best kind of salt you can get. We don't buy it from Meijer or from Walmart. We actually go to a water softener store to get it, just because it's a little more pure, and it's the best you can get to use it, and it really doesn't cost that much more.
Right. And sometimes homeowners don't realize that they have to put salt in. We have done showings recently even where you take a look and there's no salt left in the water softener.
Right.
It just is astounding, and it can't work without it.
Exactly. If you are an older homeowner, know that you can get on a contract with these places where they will come deliver the salt to you, and they'll put it in the basement so you don't have to be walking up and down stairs.
Right.
If you're a first-time home buyer, when I buy salt, I buy double the salt that I need, so I have extra salt there. I don't want to be bringing salt downstairs in the middle of the winter. I don't want to be trudging it into the house, so I make sure I get 6 months worth to make sure that it's there.
Absolutely. That first year is a learning curve for everybody.
It is.
Because each house is completely different. You could have someone that's lived in several homes, but it's just a process to learn your house.
100%. Right? There'll be people that, the things I've talked about don't even apply to them yet. They're like, okay, I don't have an air conditioner, or I have a boiler. I don't have a filter. Right?
Yeah.
I have city water. There's no water softener.
Right.
So
okay.
It's learning your house and being like, okay, what systems do I have, and how do I take care of it? Because if you take care of it, you're extending the life.
Yes. It's a whole business case for taking care of your home.
Right.
Because then you don't have those costly repairs. It's an ounce of prevention truly prevents a pound of cure.
100%, 100%. And it's amazing when you think about some of these things that, like, when you're a kid and your parents say, go out and clean the gutters, right? You're like, oh my God, I have to clean these gutters. This is disgusting. Why am I doing this job? You don't realize how important those things are, right? Because, cleaning out your gutters can prevent ice damming. And ice damming, can really screw your roof up.
Right. And roof is a very costly repair.
But when you're a 12-year-old kid and they're telling you to do it, you don't think about those things. So since I just mentioned gutters, it's important for you to get out there and clean out those gutters so that when you have water going into the gutters, that water's actually able to flow out and flow away from the house. If you're getting leaf buildup in there, it can clog the gutters. And then when the snow gets on there, the snow's not melting, it's not getting away. And then that builds up and that packs and that turns into ice. Then you get ice damming, and the ice can push its way up underneath the shingles. So,
right. Yeah, no, that makes a huge difference. Another thing that sometimes first-time homeowners forget about is that they have to do something with sprinklers.
Yes.
We've seen that firsthand with other people, and it's heartbreaking.
First-time home buyers, your sprinklers, please know that those need to get blown out. Someone has to come, usually your landscaper, winterize it. They're going to hook an air compressor up to the system. They're going to blow the water out of those lines. Because if that water freezes over the winter, it's going to break your lines. And then you're going to know about it in the spring, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. Or like a neighbor that we had who was a first-time home buyer, didn't know he had to shut the sprinkler system off, or didn't know he had a sprinkler system.
Right. Yeah, I think didn't know he had it.
It's late November. I'm sitting there watching TV. I'm watching a football game, and all of a sudden I hear a pop and I hear water, and I look out my front door, and there's a geyser going off at the front of my neighbor's house because he blew the ball valve at the front because there had been ice and the pressure built up. So, I went over there, I knocked on the door. There was no one there. I actually had to call the water department to come turn off the water. and that probably cost him a couple $1,000s. Thank God it didn't leak into his basement or
Right.
anything.
Because if left unchecked, that could have been an absolute disaster.
100%. But, first time home buyer, they don't know.
Right. Or some of the people moving from other states
Right.
that may not realize that, a lot of these things don't apply during the winter, even for the fun stuff. People have to close down their pools. They have to, winterize their sports cars, all the summer fun stuff. Do you do something with the trampoline? A lot of changes happen here in the fall.
No, those are all really good things, and to hit on each of them really quickly. You said pools. Remember, those pools have to be shut down. If you're having a professional company do it, I'm sorry, it's probably already too late to get a good date. You may not be getting your pool closed till sometime in October now, but remember, you need to call to get that scheduled. If you're doing it yourself, there's great YouTube videos on it. Please make sure that you're winterizing your pool to not cause any damage. Your trampoline, we have a trampoline this year. I'm going to leave the frame outside, but I'm going to be taking the pad off and bringing that inside because I'm trying to extend the life of that. Same thing with your outdoor furniture and such. I would advise, hey, if you can rearrange your garage, get that outdoor furniture in the garage or into storage. But if you're going to keep it outside, get those covers on earlier than you think you need to.
Right.
There's nothing worse than thinking you had enough time to do things and then all of a sudden realizing that you don't have any time left. Every homeowner has been out there in bad weather, in the cold, in the snow, going, why did I wait so long to do this?
Yeah.
And then they're doing it not as well as they should have if they had had time to take care of it.
Or they're staring at these fallen leaves or whatever all through the winter going, oh.
Yeah, the leaf pickup is an interesting thing. So check with your local municipalities. Most of them have like a leaf drop-off day where you can go to the township hall and they'll have, dumpsters there and such that you can come and drop off your leaves. A lot of subdivisions have where you can contract with the garbage company to say this is a leaf pickup day. Because sometimes you think, hey, I'll just put my leaves at the curb and they'll disappear. Well, if you didn't set that up.
From those people that have moved in from, other areas.
Right. They don't know that
all the time.
Or they, a good example of this is like there's some communities that you can rake your leaves to the curb and the city comes through with a big, huge vacuum cleaner and sucks up the leaves.
Yeah. That's
around here, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So if you're raking them to the end, they're not getting picked up, right?
Yeah.
So make sure you're doing that. For us, we have an interesting year. We have 2 big, huge, beautiful black walnut trees.
Yeah.
They don't drop walnuts every year.
Right.
We have a year where they're dropping.
Yes, we do.
So it's going to be an interesting fall of picking those up because they can really damage the lawn if you leave them there all winter.
Yeah, we learned that the hard way.
Yes.
So, and I did so well at the beginning and then I kind of fall off, but there's so many things in those trees in that first year that you're in the house, you kind of learn what those things are, right? We were prepared for the walnuts that next year, but they didn't fall. So it's like, okay, every other year. And it's just a process.
It is a process.
So in terms of one of the other things I wanted to say is chimney cleaning.
Okay.
And in terms of the fall, well, all summer long, you probably haven't used your fireplace. And now that the weather's getting cold and you get into all the fall things, you might start using that. Well, before you do, it's important to make sure that it can be used and it's safe to do so.
100%. So you don't need chimney cleaning done every year, but it's a good idea to do a chimney cleaning. If you're a first-time home buyer, I would suggest getting that chimney clean before you use it. A chimney can get creosote buildup in it. So that's a buildup of, I don't want to call it sap, but it's a buildup of the from the wood that you're burning, right? And that can actually catch fire in the chimney. So you want to make sure that that's getting cleaned out. If you're using 3-hour logs that you're buying from Meyer, you are not going to be getting a creosote buildup because they don't have that in it. But if you're going out and buying wood and you're burning wood, you can get a buildup. So you want to make sure to get that cleaned every few years. You can buy a chimney sweep log that goes in there that helps eliminate that creosote. So doing that as a preventative maintenance can help with that. But I would say it's a very good idea to just get a baseline, to have someone come and check and make sure that that's safe before you start using it.
Right. Because that is something that we have seen where it has started fire. So
and again, start early, call now, because they may not be able to get out to you for 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
Because it can get pretty busy.
And that's anything to do with the fireplace, right? Sometimes someone might want to convert that from a natural fireplace to a gas fireplace.
Yep.
Don't wait till the weather's starting to get cool to do that. Call now and get on the schedule.
100%. That's with all those things. Always think early and take care of those things.
Being organized is so important.
Being organized is really, really important.
And take good notes in terms of what repairs you get done when. Have a file to slip the
like your lawn, right?
Yeah.
You can get your lawn aerated. They come out with the machine and they pull the little plugs out of the lawn and everything, help it grow a little bit. Then you do some overseeding and such. You probably don't need to do that every year, right?
Right.
But if you have a file, you're like, okay, I do this on even years or I do this on odd years, and you know what you're going through. So that way you get a baseline of taking care of your yard, right? Yeah. If you have outdoor rings, get out there and get them charged before winter hits. Usually a ring, the doorbells are usually wired, but like if you have some cameras out there on your driveway, on your garage and such that are the rechargeable ones, those usually last about 2-3 months, maybe 4, depending on how often they go off. Mm-hmm. So I would get those charged in October, early November. So you're not, middle of February realizing it's not working anymore and you don't want to get out there on the ice or in the cold to climb up on a ladder.
Right. Oh, that makes perfect sense. And to that point, those people that just don't want to climb onto ladders in terms of whether it's cleaning out the gutters or even in terms of power washing the sides of the house, sometimes there's moss that grows on the roof and so forth. Hire a company. Honest to goodness, it's we have local companies we can recommend for any of these services to help out. But it helps to maintain the house because there's nothing worse than letting something like that build up.
100%. Well, what I would say, when you're a first-time home buyer, it's great to learn and do those things yourself, right? Those things that I had to do to a house in my 20s and my early 30s, mm-hmm. I hire out now and I don't have to do it.
Your old when.
Yes, 100%.
Oh, my goodness gracious. So also in terms of just changing out the closets, bringing the sweaters in, putting the shorts away, doing it for the kids, doing it for yourself. The winter coats, time to bring those back into the front closet if they've left,
Yeah. No, it's all like you say, when you're cleaning out those closets, change out your garage. You're probably at this point, you have 4 or 5 mows left, maybe. Then winterize that mower and tune up that snow blower. And I'm going to be changing out, moving the snow blower to where I can get to it easier because I put it in the corner for the summer and I'm going to be pulling it out and such. If you're keeping a car in the garage for the winter, it's time to reorganize mm-hmm. and figure out where that is and take care of all that because, again, you want to start that stuff early.
Right. And the way I see it, it's like you're doing yourself a favor, right? By being organized, by taking care of these things. And to me, I feel like there's always room for improvement because we're all busy people. We've known a ton of people that actually take just impeccable care of their home, and they are the gold standard, right? But then there's those of us that are kind of more regular people that get caught up in everyday life. And what I challenged you, Don, and any of our listeners, feel free to hop on board. But how can we do better than we did last year? How can we, like you said, move the snowblower to a more convenient place? Or, what are those little things that we'll be able to thank ourselves for that we can do now? Here, it's the fall is just beginning. The weather's still nice. You can make a difference in your own life.
Well, everyone has a few projects they wanted to do this year that get it done now. So when spring comes, you actually can benefit from that.
Yeah.
Because, just because, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be using that this year. Well, you're going to be using it next year. Right.
Right.
So take care of it now and enjoy it later. There's always weeding that needs to be done. There's always, one of the good things here to actually think about is tree trimming. Yeah. There's a lot of trees. You cannot cut back those trees while there's leaves on the trees. Talk to a landscaper. Talk to an arborist. At a minimum,
good ones we can recommend.
Yeah, at a minimum, Google it to see, is now an okay time to cut my tree, right? Because there's a lot of trees that you want to trim them when the leaves are off the tree, when the tree is dormant.
Right.
So you have a small window in the fall and a small window in the spring to get that done. So think about it now.
And it's easy to let things get overgrown.
100%. Right? And then all of a sudden it's out of hand.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So those are the things that you learn on your house and all that. Yeah. And since it is fall, and that is certainly some of our favorite seasons of all, right?
It is my 100% favorite season.
Yeah.
Mainly for football.
Yeah, exactly. This is true. But in terms of maybe those coming to Michigan or coming back to Michigan, let's talk about, all the great things that happen in the fall here in our area.
Okay, well, where do you want to start?
I don't know. What are the festivals? What are the activities?
We have some great festivals.
Yeah.
Right? So coming up here real quick, there's the Barbecue Blues Jazz Fest in downtown Brighton.
Yep, Blues Barbecue Fest.
Yep.
The Chamber puts on every year.
Yep, we're going to have the Fantasia Lights on the day after Thanksgiving in downtown Howell, which is amazing. There is
a lot in between, though.
There's a lot in between.
Witches Night Out, and
you've done Witches Night Out.
Yeah, that's really fun. Or even the Legend of Sleepy Howell.
Yep, we've done that. They have a 5K during the Legend of Sleepy Howell that I have run in. You actually ran a shorter version of it that once.
I did. Wow.
You did the 1 mile.
Just once. Oof.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. That was a lot for me. But I tried. I did it.
But there's some really good events. We have some great local cider mills.
Yes.
That is an amazing thing to go to in the fall.
That's a must. Absolutely. For like any of those coming in from other states. From what I hear, some states have this, but a lot of states don't, especially coming in from down south, that these apple orchards.
Yeah, I'm particular to Spicers.
Yeah, and that's the one we have in county that's sort of a larger one there.
But I mean, there's Blake's in South Lyon, which is really nice. But going to those cider mills is really good. Oktoberfest, a lot of local communities have like an Oktoberfest, which is really nice. And here in Michigan, if you are coming back to Michigan, if going up to Frankenmuth and having a chicken dinner is really a tradition in the fall and into the winter.
Right. No, that's a nice thing in terms of in our area. It's really not far from Livingston County.
No.
That it's a fun little getaway for the evening.
But I would say that in the fall here, if you are new to the area, check out some of these local high school games. Brighton, Howell, Pinckney, Fowlerville, they all have Heartland. They all have amazing communities that are really supportive of their local sports. They just do an amazing job. You have homecoming parades if you are near a downtown, get out for that homecoming parade because those kids are so appreciative when they have a large crowd that they get to go by. This is a big, important thing for them. And it's just so great to have community support for that.
So be part of your community.
Yes.
Really. Yeah. It's we have such great communities that for us to have the privilege to be part of them is really exceptional.
Yep. Our farmers markets are starting to wrap up, which means in Howell, the winter market will be starting up, which will be at the Howell Opera House. I believe it's 2 weekends a month. To be able to go in there. But the thing that is going to be coming in a couple of years that we are all so excited about is Howell is building an outdoor ice rink.
Yeah, so for those that haven't heard about that, that's going to be such a draw in the wintertime, and maybe we can do a whole winter episode.
A whole winter episode,
because at least it's fall, and let's focus on the fall. And
yes.
the changing of the leaves, and even just to touch on food. I mean, how does what you cook, because between the two of us, Don is a phenomenal chef. How does
thank
what
you.
you make for dinner change from going from summer to fall?
Well, I know that you guys and the kids are excited because I do my own mini tailgating every weekend.
Yeah.
So I cook a ton of food in the morning and then I'll have lunch and dinner, and I'll have, I don't want to say different themes each week, but I'll decide, this week I'm doing chili. This week I'm doing, ribs and chicken. This week I'm doing dips, or I'm doing Mexican or such. So I really like to take it to the next level in terms of enjoying my football weekend. It's interesting because, I picked college over the NFL. So for years and years, it was like all Michigan State and all college. And now the Lions are good again.
Yeah.
So now, sorry, I'm taking Saturday and Sunday. So
So that's okay. Welcome to Michigan. Football is just as big here as it is everywhere else in the country.
But I think, you can grill all winter long, but fall is a great grilling time. It's a great time where it's not so hot and it's not as buggy. And you can be out there in blue jeans if you want to, or shorts. So it's really good. Appreciate those golf courses before they start to close down, and get out on them before the leaves get too bad. And then if you're in the rough, there's no hope of finding your ball. So, I will be appreciating the next 6 to 8 weeks till my golf season is over, till next year. So it's a great change of seasons, but take that time to take care of your house. Your first time home buyer, you've been in a house a while. Sit down and say, what are those things that I can take care of now so I can appreciate the winter? And so in spring, I'm going to thank myself because I took care of these things and I'm ready to go into the next season, because you can neglect your house and it not affect you for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. But at some point, it's time to pay the piper, right?
Yeah, and that is so painful.
It is extremely painful. You don't take care of the filters on your furnace, and you don't notice that your bill's a little bit more every month because the airflow isn't there and it's getting built up and everything. But then all of a sudden, the furnace that was supposed to last 15 years only lasts 11 years, or the water heater that you weren't taking care of, craps out on you. And these are expensive lessons to learn.
Yes, they really are, because the actions we take or do not take absolutely affect the home itself. You can not unlike a car. Like, a lot of times people are more familiar with cars, certainly around here, than homes. But like, if you mistreat a car and run it into the ground, it will definitely take years off of its life.
Yeah, and we were all teenagers in our 20s once, and just like we thought our bodies were invincible, we thought our cars were invincible as well, right?
So don't think that your house is...
learn those good lessons to, preventative maintenance is exactly what it is. It's preventative. It solves the problems while they're small, so they don't get big, and they extend the life of your house and the enjoyability of your house.
Right. Which is ultimately what gives us the most joy for our clients.
100%. So, I would say love on your house, basically.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
You spent a lot of time and money getting in it, so take pride in it. Encourage your kids, if you have kids, to take pride in it as well. I love to say, as a parent, the things that you aren't specifically teaching your kids, they're learning anyway, right? They learn from you by seeing what you do, and they learn even more by seeing what you don't do. Yeah. So if you're not taking care of that stuff, you're not showing them how to take care of that stuff. And I'll be honest, I did a lot more yard work and a lot more things around the house as a kid than I make my kids do.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they're not seeing
that's...
what I'm doing, and they're not learning that, hey, these things are important.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And I just think back to when our clients get into their homes and how excited they are for that very beginning. You can keep that feeling of how much you love your house when you take care of it.
100%. And, I forgot one thing on here I would say for my first-time home buyers. Check and see whether you have screens and you have storm windows.
Oh, yeah.
When you get into a house, look into the attic, look into the garage. I always have clients asking me, hey, are there screens? And we'll look around and see if there's screens. If there's screens on the windows, somewhere there might be storm windows because a lot of these older homes, they had storm windows. And those are important to put on because they help retain the heat in your house and they bring your bills down. So learn those things because those things are so important. Those little tiny things build up.
And I'd like to take a public service announcement, and especially people that are younger may not realize this, but I think this applies to everybody. Know that sometimes it's better to get something fixed than it is to just toss it out and buy something new. So whether it's a screen where it's like, oh, there's a little hole in the screen. This is terrible. Let's throw it out and we'll go and get a new screen. There's places that will repair that little portion of it. Same thing with windows. If a seal's been cracked, sometimes there's things that can be done. There's companies that can come out and they can change the panes on your window instead of changing out the entire framing of your window, right? Right.
There's things that can be done to kind of match what you have and maintain what you have, right?
It's much more cost effective.
Much more cost effective. And, if you have an older house that you're getting into, you're going to learn the quirks of that house. But sometimes you don't want to change something out because you want to maintain the character of the home, right?
Right.
If you're in an old downtown home that has, some leaded glass windows, you may want to, if a window breaks, you may want to switch it out and try to put in something that still matches that character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a special time of year. And it's a chance at a second reset on the year, right? January 1st, it's the whole start of a new year. Well, guess what? This is the start of the next chapter.
Well, people talk about spring cleaning, but they don't talk about fall cleaning.
I don't know why. They should.
They should, because it's a big deal, fall cleaning. Because it's, funny, we went out to dinner last night with our daughter. And, it is August right now that we're recording this. This will drop in like a week and a half.
This will be in September.
This will be in September. But she was asking when she could decorate for Halloween, right? So people think about these things early, right?
Yeah.
And it's the going through and it's the excitement of the different seasons of your house, right? In every season of your house, there's different things that need to be taken care of. So if we were having this conversation in the spring, I'd be having a whole different conversation of different things that need to be done, or the reverse of something. It's time to open up your pool. And these are the things that happen with opening up your pool.
The ceiling fans, can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, really quick. Ceiling fans. If you didn't know, your ceiling fan has two different directions. There's one direction that blows air down, and there's one direction that pulls the air up. So depending on the season, you want to change the direction, right? Because heat rises, right? So in the winter, you want to push that heat back down, right? And the converse. So just know that there's a direction on the fans that work for the different seasons in terms of how you want the air to circulate to make sure that your furnace or your air conditioner is running optimally.
Right. This
right?
is true.
And clean off those fans. Because
yes, please dust them. A lot of people forget that they need to get dusted, and the dust really collects on those and on some of the air return vents.
Yeah,
well.
Honestly, just really quick to mention that in relation to your ducts, your fans, and your furnace, if you have pets, you need to be changing those filters more often. And you may want to think about getting those ducts cleaned out every couple of years because the dander builds up in that. And if you have asthma or kids that have asthma, it can really affect your quality of life. So getting a good duct cleaning, it'll cost you more the first time you do it than after that, just because they're going to set up the little holes to make sure you can clean the ducts and such. But it is well worth it to get that done. And you'd be amazed at how much filth is in a duct that maybe hasn't been cleaned in a decade.
And somebody may not have asthma, but maybe you get colds more often than you should, right? Just in terms of those germs, people never realize for repairs or things or maintenance, how important it is until it's done. And it's like, wow, this really is.
You mean dusting serves a purpose?
Yes, it really, really does. You can't just leave it,
Right.
It's so important. And we go into so many different homes and we see a lot of things. So, and that's okay. That's why, it's like, hey, we can all try better. Work harder. This is the perfect time to start the start of the next chapter. And it's a nice little reset.
So, get out there, take care of your house, support those local businesses, check out those local festivals, enjoy the fall season that's coming for what it is. Support the local sports. It's amazing how many kids you see out there playing football, cheerleading, doing cross country.
Yeah.
I was seeing the cross country kids running down the road from the high school and such. Those kids are working hard.
They sure are.
And it is amazing when the community starts to support them, how much it uplifts them.
Yes, it makes such a huge difference too.
Yes.
And that's what community is, because we have each other, we look out for each other.
100%.
That's really what Livingston is. And if, you have any contractors that you need some services for your home and you don't know where to begin and you just don't want to pull out the yellow pages, reach out to us, contact us. We have a lot of different vendors and contractors that we've used and recommended to our clients. So we'd be happy to refer to you as well.
100%, because, sometimes we don't know where to start.
Right.
And the job appears too big. And having an expert come in to take care of that is really nice.
But it doesn't have to be blind. You don't have to just call anybody and be, who am I going to get? We have some great people and that we trust, and we know that you'd be able to trust as well.
100%. Wonderful.
It's great. This is a fun episode. This is nice. I'm looking forward to fall.
Yes. So thank you guys so much for listening today. Please, like I said, check out our other episodes. Check us out at welcometolivingston.com. Subscribe to our newsletter there, and please come back and check out some of our other episodes. We would love to see you out in the community. If you see us out at any of these festivals, please stop and say hi. We'd love to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
And welcome to Livingston.